Let's talk about a concept most of us think we get, but might have completely backwards. The middle way. We're going to find out that it's not about some boring compromise. It's actually about learning to use both pleasure and pain to find real freedom.
So, when I say middle way, what pops into your head? For a lot of people, it sounds like, splitting the difference between two extremes. A little bit of fun, a little bit of suffering. Kind of vanilla, right? But what if that's not it at all? What if that completely misses the point?
And right here, this is the big mix-up. The common idea is that you're just finding some mushy middle ground. But the real teaching? Oh, it's way more active, way more powerful. It's a path that teaches you how to avoid the extremes altogether by actually using pleasure and pain as tools.
So let's get into the first big idea here. The real path isn't about finding a spot somewhere in the middle of a line. It's about stepping off that line completely. It's about getting beyond that whole push and pull game.
Okay, so let's nail down a definition here. The middle way is about actively dodging those extremes. Wild indulgence on one side and painful self-denial on the other. And how do you do that? By learning how to use the pleasure that comes from concentration and how to understand pain through contemplation. The key words there are learning and using. This is an active skill, not a passive state.
And this right here is the absolute game changer. It's a total shift in perspective. Instead of being a puppet yanked around by your feelings, always chasing the good stuff and running from the bad, you learn to be in charge. You're not driven by them anymore. You're the one in the driver's seat.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Well, that brings us to the really practical part. A toolkit you can literally use anytime, anywhere. And believe it or not, it all starts with your breath.
It boils down to these 4 steps, which come from instructions on breath meditation. Now, what's incredible about this is that you can use this one simple process for 2 totally different things. First, you can use it to build up a really solid, stable sense of well-being. And second, you can use that exact same tool to take apart and understand pain.
All right, let's take a look at the first way we can use this toolkit to cultivate a healthy internal source of pleasure. And we're not talking about chasing some external thrill. This is about building a rock-solid foundation of well-being right inside yourself.
So here's a cool way to think about it. You can actually change how you picture your breath. Instead of just air coming in and out of your nose, imagine your entire body is like a big sponge. And with every single breath, a soothing kind of energy just seeps in from all directions, through every pore, filling you up. Now, the kind of pleasure this creates isn't some giddy, fleeting high. It's more like a deep, powerful calm. Think of the strong currents way down at the bottom of the ocean, completely steady and undisturbed, no matter how wild the storms are on the surface. That energy is always there for you. You just have to learn to tap into it. So why is this so important? Well, having this reliable inner source of well-being is like having good, healthy food for your mind. So when you feel that wave of tiredness or irritation or some other urge that might push you to do something unhelpful, you've got a much better place to turn. You can actually fend off those urges.
Okay, so that's the pleasure side of the coin. Now let's flip it over and tackle the other side, which can feel a lot trickier. Changing your relationship with pain, whether it's a physical ache or mental anguish.
When we're in pain, our mind does this funny thing. It's like it's looking at a road map. It laser focuses on the roads, the actual sensations of pain, and it just connects them all into one big, solid story called I am in pain. But while it's doing that, it completely ignores all the empty white spaces on the map. So the very first thing you do is you consciously shift your attention. You take that same pleasant, full breath that we just talked about, and you start directing it to the parts of your body that don't hurt. You focus on the white spaces. And just that simple shift can start to change your whole experience.
And once you're in that more stable spot, you can start to, ask some kind of weird questions about the pain itself. For example, is that feeling of pain actually the same thing as your body? I mean, it feels like it is, but are they really one and the same? Or is the pain just showing up in the body?
Here's another one. Our mind tends to label pain as this solid, unchanging thing. But if you look really, really closely, is that true? Or is it more like a fast-moving collection of little sensations that are always flickering, changing, and moving around?
And this leads us to what might be the biggest mind shift of all. Our gut reaction is that pain is coming at us, like it's an attack. But what if that's not what's happening? What if, by the time you're even aware of a sensation, it's already on its way out the door? To really get this, there's this amazing analogy.
I want you to picture yourself standing in the caboose, the very last car of a moving train, and you're facing backward, watching the world go by behind you.
So as you're looking out that back window, every single thing you see, every telephone pole, every tree, every little house, by the time it enters your vision, it's already moving away from you. The moment you see it, it's already becoming part of the past.
Okay, now here's the magic. Apply that same logic to pain. Think of each little pulse of pain like one of those landmarks. The instant your brain registers it, the moment you become aware of it, it has already happened. It is already going away. It's receding into the past, just like the landscape from the back of the train. That one little shift can change everything.
So you learn to cultivate pleasure, you learn to deconstruct pain. What's it all for? What's the end game here? It's not just about coping better. The real goal is something much bigger. It's freedom, a state that's completely beyond that constant push and pull that runs our lives.
And this is where it all comes together. Freedom is that state where your mind just isn't driven anymore. It knows how to use pleasure, it knows how to investigate pain, and, this is crucial, it knows how to let both of them go. You see, the middle way isn't a point on the line between pleasure and pain. It's a place that exists completely outside of that line.
The source material leaves us with this incredible, almost unbelievable image. It suggests you can reach a point where the words pleasure and pain, the very concepts that used to run your entire life, start to sound like things people say as a joke. They become childish concerns that you simply outgrown.
So I'll leave you with that question to chew on. Just take a second and really imagine it. What would your life be like if the things that cause you the most suffering and the things you chase after the most just became old news, like childish concerns you've simply and completely outgrown?